Welcome back to the Quake World Championship. The action is absolutely heating up here as we've gone through the round of 16, are on the round of 8, and coming up next, it's our former champion K1LLSEN taking on MAXTER. Joining me is Lethal and Ketchup. Gentlemen, welcome back. What is up?
Well, two rail heavy players going at it against each other, and it's like only the round of 8. What more could we ask for at this point? And it's going to be an absolute slugfest here, I think we can agree.
Early on today, I think MAXTER being in this position is a hard-earned one. As we started off relatively early, we had Toxic versus MAXTER, and it was a nail-biter. MAXTER narrowly won. It was 2-1. It was overtime on Ruins of Sarnath.
Wow.
And through having it genuinely came down to a rocket jump in the center of the map into a massive push, an all-or-nothing dedication, and it got MAXTER the ultimate win.
That sounds like a MAXTER thing to do, doesn't it?
It sounds like a MAXTER thing to do, yeah.
One of the loudest pop-offs I've heard in the venue so far. That's what it was. Now, MAXTER obviously earning this point. K1LLSEN having a bit of a, you could say, easier time today, going up against one of his training partners who, in his own respect, Sparty is fantastic, so no shame there. But this is a good match.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like K1LLSEN, it was interesting. In his first game versus Sparty, it took 6 minutes and 50 seconds before that first frag hit, but then that was like the ignition. That was actually the car turning on and then shifting from gear 1 directly to gear 5. And then it kind of exploded from there. So I'm guessing that like that was sort of the turn on for K1LLSEN. He's going to come, he's going to be warm. Like it sounds like MAXTER's had that nail biter as you mentioned it. So I expect both these players to be kind of ready for this game. Of course, what can happen here? You're talking about MAXTER going up against the most recent champion here in the Quake World Championships, but I think this is going to be a great one. So.
Yeah, it certainly will be indeed. And the fact that we've got these two players, as I already said, they're very rail heavy, but the difference being that Max is a lot more creative and fluid in comparison to what K1LLSEN's like, where K1LLSEN's more about control, the items, his combat skills to boot as well. We're going to see a lot of that. So if we get some low fragging gains, then yeah, that will be weird in itself, because that should not be happening in this matchup.
Yep, well, I mean, now we're in sort of the heat of battle and every player is putting out the best that they possibly can. But before, when things were quiet and, you know, the rockets weren't flying and people weren't getting gibbed all over the place, we sat down and we did some interviews. Let's hear from MAXTER.
My username is MAXTER, and I'm representing the 40 Gods. I mean, it's pretty simple. It comes from master, but since my name is Maximiliano or Maxi in Spanish, I just changed the X for MAXTER, and that's it. My favorite champion maybe today will be Anarchy or Slash, and the simple explanation is because I like fast champions, because I like to play fast and move fast around the map. My favorite weapon, it's LG, Lightning Gun. It's because I like to have the skill to track, and the way it sounds every time that you are having a perfect aim, it's really pleasant to the ears. This is my first QuakeCon. Not the first QuakeCon I have qualified. I qualified for 2020, 2021, and 2022, but due to COVID, I couldn't just be here, of course. And now 2023 is the time, first time here in Dallas, so I'm really glad to be here and excited. To be fair, I am excited to just play the tournament. I'm not looking to play against anyone in particular. As it's a tournament, I will play whoever I have to play against, and I'll try to do my best to just beat them. Of course, the best chances I will say myself, because I have to just be confident in myself, trust myself. But if I have to just pick another player, I will always go with Rafa, just because he has won many tournaments. For me, he's the best of all of us. I'm down that Rafa, he's in the best shape possible to get the title this year. Shout out to the Spanish community and the South American community, also my team. They have been really supportive of me during the year and also being here in Dallas.
I also enjoy a perfect, 70% lightning gun as well. I hear it's MAXTER's ringtone actually on his phone. MAXTER said, hey, I would like to say I will win, right? And we were kind of joking because Nosfa was the other person who said, I'd like to say it myself, and you should. I have that confidence going into you. But I like what MAXTER had to say. I do think two fast players, very rail heavy. If what I'm seeing on my screen right now for picks and bans are accurate, this is going to definitely be an interesting one. So let's take a look at the picks and bans. here for this matchup.
It's real.
It's real. Corrupted Keep, Ruins, and Molten Falls, starting us off with the Anarchy and the Keel. Ketchup, take us away.
This is not the first time MAXTER has picked Keel on Corrupted Keep this weekend. Keel currently has a 2-0 on the off chance that maybe a streamed match happened that I didn't see at the time.
3-0. 40 will come out here running. It's 3-0, Ketchup! It's Keel's 3-0!
He came in and played someone off stream, mate. That's what he did. But look, to be fair, MAXTER's Keel on Keep looks thoroughly dangerous. Now, the Nyx was taken away straight away. Definitely feels like that was more of a setting up for future maps, just not allowing k1LLSEN to use his strongest champion. Slash being taken away from Ruins of Sarnath, and then Molten. No shock to anyone. Sorry, Wheat, but Scalebearer is gone on that map, so we're not going to be seeing it. But it's a battle of mobility, utility, and then a weird start.
Yeah, Keel, I don't even remember when Keel's ever appeared on Corrupted Keep. I don't know if you know or you know, but like, I don't think I've ever seen it. Veil, yes, of course, that's traditional, but to see on Corrupted Keep is madness. But what makes it even more mad is the fact that MAXTER, sadly for him, statistically, he's been very good on Awoken and Deep Embrace for the entire season. Both have been banned out here. So going into Corrupted Keep and then onto Ruins, it's going to be quite difficult for him, and normally he uses some of these champions to help with that creativity with the movement speed. We've only got Athena for that on Molten.
Yeah, we actually have been seeing pretty traditionally like a smaller map set going through and through, but this is the first time I think I've seen the arena really expanding with what we've got with Ruins and Molten. Should be interesting. Also, kind of the Strong versus Athena. Should we get to a third map? I think that one is a lot of interest to me. But the question is will we get there, right? k1LLSEN looks very good, definitely capable of 2-0, but I feel like we got some wild cards here.
It depends on k1LLSEN's ability to just handle the Keel, because I saw MAXTER use this champion earlier today. There was nothing that really stood out as in like, oh my god, why is no one else doing this? You just have a champion that is chunky, has a massive stack, and even though now you've only got, you know, a handful of grenades to work with compared to, I think, what was it, 5 a fair while ago, if you time them properly, if you place them correctly, it's a close quarters map with a lot of areas where the rocket launcher is useful. Pair a rocket with a grenade, it's way more damage. And even recently, you know, the grenade with the, what was it, the 2 bounces, I believe the grenades now have. It's a little bit better than it once was. I was talking to actually 40 of all people about it, and 40 certainly liked the change.
Of course he did.
But it's the kind of
Keel
thing
could
where
have half a grenade and 40 would like this character. I don't know.
Look, as another pathetic character loyalist, I have to agree with 40 here.
But you got to ask yourself as well, why is Keel being more of a viral pick now and it wasn't throughout the entire season? It's because now it registers the pineapples a lot better in a LAN environment, or just without the ping being involved. So even being used in Corrupted Keep, like, madness. He must be a very viable pick just across the board, not just Veil.
Well, that, and let's be real, when it goes up to finals territory, no one wants to super experiment.
Right.
I think some players don't want to sort of take that risk and maybe waste that time trying something that just won't work. But we're jumping into this first map here, Corrupted Keep. It's k1LLSEN and MAXTER, and we're going to find out if that Keel has what it takes to get that first map win.
Well, I hope so for his sake, because that was a very ballsy pick coming out, and we'll find out soon enough how things are going to occur. We can start from k1LLSEN's perspective here, and already battle wits here, but also both aim got it, just trying to flick with that shot. He gets a little bit of damage done, almost cleans up the heavy machine gun. Both of them are just teetering on the edge of death, but in the end, MAXTER does manage to get away, pick up that light and the heavy, as k1LLSEN does get that mega, but the light won't be spawning as of yet, so gets a couple of pop shots off there just to keep him as low as possible before rotating back around. But this has been a very, very aggressive start, so both of them to try and at least establish some kind of control, which is not really too much of a surprise here for both these players.
MAXTER's just playing carefully. You know, let's not forget the whole function of Keel in the first place. Keel is there because this game hasn't got a grenade launcher. Yeah, you got the tri-bolt, but it's not the same. So having this champion's ability to spam around these corners to get this extra little bit of damage, or whatever the case may be, can be really useful. On a map like this, where there's a lot of ranged combat, the machine gun gets a lot of use, the nail gun or the plasma, whatever skin you're using for that one. The grenades really add to that quite nicely. And even there, boom! You know, you hit one of those, force him to escape. k1LLSEN now has to disengage. There's no delay between these items, though, so a choice to be made. Do we take one each? Does one of us push forward and maybe try and get greedy on them? k1LLSEN's looking to push forward at the same time. The drop down for the Mega is real. k1LLSEN uses that opportunity to say, fair enough, I'm going to take a heavy, and then we'll meet up later.
Yeah, we've had nearly 1,000 damage between the two, but still no frags as of yet, which is quite balmy when you think about it so far. k1LLSEN still has that inject, is continuing on defensively with those pineapples, but heading towards the heavy, but k1LLSEN has the high ground. He's expecting him to go for that TP, but MAXTER isn't a silly boy, Ryan. He knows that he's up there, manages to go through at the perfect time. It doesn't really get too much done, though, as you can see k1LLSEN just backing off with the Mega straight away.
But to be honest with you, Lethal, even angles like that, when MAXTER is at the bottom near heavy, hang on, hold that thought, there's a fight breaking out, so I'll come back to that in a minute. Chasing his way through Red Room, that grenade once again says get away from it. We shall talk about this in a moment because it looks like MAXTER is on the hunt. Our next objective is going to be that heavy. Both players pushing towards it. k1LLSEN seeming like he's going to concede. We'll take the trade. I'll take the light armor. I'll set up towards the Mega and at the same time try and be in a better position to get some damage on. Drops down. Takes a decent amount of damage at the same time. Let's not forget Keel, a chunky boy.
No.
But the super shotgun secures the first frag of this series to MAXTER. Now, this Keel, gonna be honest, looking pretty tidy.
Certainly is. That was a bit of a shocker to the system, how he actually managed to win that outright, but the shotty just not doing enough. But of course, with the knockback, it's in effect, it's not going to do too much damage after that first initial shot. So 3 minutes in, MAXTER with a nice lead so far. I know he's coming up by 1 frag, but he's been doing a lot of damage output across the board. Looking at the item control so far, 9 items for MAXTER and 5 for k1LLSEN here, as k1LLSEN with the 45% LG, not really too much of a surprise either. Again, a lot of damage done here and there with his drive-bys with the heavy machine gun.
But with how long it is taking to secure a frag, that does open up the chance for k1LLSEN to constantly be within a chance to bring this back. You know, this is k1LLSEN for crying out loud. This isn't any old player, and he is going to have the mobility factor on Keel. One problem Keel's always going to have is that, yeah, there are 4 large champions in this game, but 3 of those 4 have movement. Keel doesn't. So in this instance, MAXTER has to be so on it, because on this map even, the second you have those couple of minutes left to go, the faster champion can sort of set themselves up near Tri-Bolt, and it's hard to come back. MAXTER, a lovely little combo right there. That's going to do damage to k1LLSEN, unable to contest for this next item. MAXTER getting that, ooh, nice little speed boost there from a rocket jump. That's going to set you up, and actually looks like k1LLSEN, again, no choice but to respect it. He's going to back off, he's going to let MAXTER collect, and we're going to try and just chip away piece by piece. Easier said than done when Keel has grenades and rocket launchers and shotguns and everything else.
Everything and more, as he's just trying to find an entry into k1LLSEN, but his defensive option been very good. That 61 on the last rocket is going to pay dividends there, and he does manage to take him down there, making it 2. Which is crazy to think on a map like Corrupted Keep and how aggressive both these players are. Trying to catch him again to try and make it a 3rd. He's going to whip out the shotty and using the pineapple as well to see if he can get any extra damage. Doesn't find it as of yet, but he's got such a huge stack advantage here, Ketchup. He's looking to deliver a little bit more damage as he's going across that side angle, but LG comes out. Looks like he should be able to win this. Yes, he does. Lovely stuff from MAXTER, and has enough HP in order to continue that aggression, and again, just catching him as he's going towards that light.
It's a combination of many things that's working out for MAXTER. He's constantly had this stack advantage, so k1LLSEN hasn't been able to simply bully his way onto an item. He's had to respect the fact that he's got to do more work to get the frag. He's going to take more damage because MAXTER has really good accuracy with these grenades, it has to be said. However, right now, doesn't have one. He's only just built one up. And as k1LLSEN continues to pop the inject, he's going to be taking those hourglasses. Hourglasses that MAXTER would quite like to have for the grenades. Now he's pushing away. Can he escape for long, though? k1LLSEN, more than aware that this is an opportunity to do something. However, MAXTER, the heavy's going to get taken before k1LLSEN even gets there.
Oh, he actually catches him a little bit there. Does a fair amount of damage, but LG comes out. k1LLSEN comes out on top in that little scuffle. Finally gets the first frag on the board. And you've got to remember as well, Ryan, is the fact that with this kill pick, when it gets to the later stages of this game and he's hanging around the Tri-Bolt area or some of his choke points, he's going to have the rockets and the pineapples on top of that, which is going to make matters even worse. It's going to force him into those situations in a few minutes' time. But back over to k1LLSEN now to pick up that light. Still has the inject ready and waiting to use. Heavy is up, but should be close enough to hit the audio cue for that, considering position Max is in. But he's obviously going around circling towards that red room. But he realises straight over that Kilsen's lurking around. So he's backing away once again, trying to even the stack a little bit with that last tri-bolt damage. As MAXTER still ahead in terms of stack himself, but Heavy's up in 15 seconds as Kilsen soon needs to try and make a play here in order to try and secure that second frag.
I gotta say as well, you know, Kilsen's been sort of protecting LG room and protecting the Mega. MAXTER, when he did go down there, spawned right next to Super Shotgun, and there was a lightning gun on the floor. So MAXTER hasn't actually had to go out of his way to pick up that crucial weapon. So he's been able to fight. You know, it doesn't matter that he can't go into that room. However, speaking of a fight, MAXTER forced to retreat, pretty tender, and it's gonna be a long time until that Heavy is gonna appear again. Lovely rocket there from Kilsen, perfectly placed. Not enough to finish the job, but enough to at least stop some of the benefits of that light. And we're gonna go in for 2 grenades. Gonna need a little bit more than that with this current stack. Just breathe on Keel with an LG at this range and he's gonna get taken out. The Heavy's in the side of Kilsen. Kilsen understandably pushes in. He wants to try and close that gap. Let's not forget 2 minutes, just over. Not a huge amount of this map left to go. It's Corrupted Keep, right? This is a map where you can snowball, but MAXTER, just look at this defensive position. I've got a rocket launcher ready to go. I've got 3 grenades. Yes, you've got all that stack, but all I need is that little light armor there, hit some rockets and grenades. If they're all direct, good to go.
Oh, a little bow coming up there, coming through that rocket. The Heavy still up, mind you, and left on 120 HP, and now the heavy machine gun damage Kilsen's doing on top of that.
How did MAXTER hit that?
The tri-bolt damage on top of it, I have no idea.
It's the rocket before. I have no idea how he managed to find that, but forcing Kilsen away allows Max to collect that item. That could be one of the more pivotal moments of this entire map now because we have less than 2 minutes. Kilsen, oh so tender. And not really in a position to fight for this Heavy as there's still 8 seconds until that inject. Kilsen is trying and hits 2 unbelievable rockets and then even gets the LG near the end. How he found that is unbelievable. MAXTER, by all accounts, you look at that and think that's got to be a free pickup.
And he's going to go for that Heavy back earlier, but greet each other once again. There's only a minute 15 seconds left on the clock, but this is the bit I was talking about, Ryan, with the fact that with those pineapples and the defensive rockets, Kilsen needs to try and find a way in now before things start to escalate, as he's done a lot of damage there, as he's trying to do a drive-by with the shotgun, but Kilsen back with his own. A minute left remaining, we're all tied up here.
Not convinced MAXTER actually had a grenade in that instance. He was close enough and trying to line up the shot like he did, but I don't think anything came out. He had one just as he respawned. If he had a grenade, who knows what could have been different from that. But an even split so far, but in terms of momentum, absolutely on the side of Kilsen. Not even that, but the one in position for this health pickup, which is just about to appear. Kilsen trying to push his way forward first to then fall back on the health, which is going to make the comeback from MAXTER even more challenging. And this is where things are going to get a little bit scary, as now MAXTER, you have all the damage in the world, but with him being as low as he is, Kilsen does not need to do much to finish the job. And this could be map 1 for Kilsen if he plays this fight just right.
Yeah, he's running out of rocket ammo. Hasn't really got barely any LG ammo either, so he's just to do with heavy machine gun for now. We are going to go to sudden death shortly.
All he's got is a super shotgun.
Well. But he's keeping pinned around this archway around Heavy the entire time for the last minute and a half. And it's because of the fact that Kilsen can't really push in as he would like to. Heavy's up the next 5 seconds. Mega is now up and has been up for quite some time. But it's Kilsen who really needs that. Heavy as the bout comes in. Good rockets coming from MAXTER. Good LG also from Kilsen as he's picked up the Mega and the Light. Over the course of that could potentially have been that final engagement, but in the end, they've backed away once again. This is going to be crucial if things are getting a little bit hairy at some stage. Kilsen again just daring for him to go for that TP.
That fight was a victory for MAXTER. MAXTER was the one that was down on stack. He was in the worst position. That 100 damage rocket was all it needed to get Kilsen to retreat, to respect. They took an item each. Now they're both almost even, I would say, favoring MAXTER on the count of having access to more stack. The Mega is now in hand. Heavy probably going to get picked up by Kilsen in the middle of this. However, in a pretty bad position. The Heavy gets picked up, so does the inject get popped. And he's just looping around like we're playing Mario Kart. Don't know what's going on with that, but he kept himself alive and he's built up the speed. And that's really important as now we've entered sudden death.
Oh, they're coming with the LG power round. Tom mid, but again, he's backing away. But look at the stacks, they're still almost equal. Max with a slight edge of a lead. My goodness, there's been like 2 or 3 occasions now we feel like this is going to be end do end all, but now the Heavy's going to be up any second now. Kilsen does pick that up, and And a lot of these bouts here and there, but no one really finishing the job as it's been so equal in terms of aim skill and position. It's this
I tell you what,
crazy right now.
With that being a long-winded fight, that was a very fast 30 seconds for these items to come back. You're almost forgetting that we are in sudden death. The next frag is going to take this first map, and it is only the first map at the moment. And with two players seemingly pretty split down the middle at the moment. There's one grenade. Need to get a little bit more. Worried on the drop down though. Too much time in the air. And there's the LG. No inject for the Anarchy. And 18 seconds until Mega Health is going to appear. So k1LLSEN not looking too good. Any of those rockets and grenades hit their mark now, and that is going to be the green light for MAXTER to go in and seal the deal on this first map, but doesn't want to push too hard. Get the grenades ready, try to put yourself in towards the health here. We still have time before the heavy as well. k1LLSEN, I like that choice though. They're still trying to keep a strong angle. Dips out when he knows that Max is going to go in and take the health. Even with this heavy though, it's going to be a pretty scary fight. k1LLSEN doing the right thing, does not go through that teleporter. He would have been absolutely insane if he went that way.
Said it would have been, oh my god, the amount of heavy machine gun damage there. Using that inject, this could potentially be the final bout. It looks like it won't be in the end. It's been in quite a few occasions, but
if someone gets hit by good damage here, it might be, but not quite.
It could be, as we're still 3 minutes into this sudden death. I've got to keep as well, and k1LLSEN's got him pinned, but it's backed away once again. Mega's up, that's just been picked up by MAXTER, and k1LLSEN now just sitting, getting ready for this heavy. It's just
MAXTER had to prioritize rocket ammo there.
Yeah,
could have fought
absolutely
towards this heavy, but you need a rocket launcher with this lineup. So he decided to take the trade. We'll see if that trade really benefits him soon. I think k1LLSEN now going into information mode on his side, but doesn't want to give away too much to MAXTER, or he's going to have that issue with Anarchy. Loud lad on that hoverboard.
Certainly is just directly underneath him. It catches him a little bit.
That's a big,
But look
big
at the
first
stack
hit.
MAXTER has, so it certainly is indeed. Does a little bit with that heavy machine gun, but right now Max is in a prime position. But again, he doesn't want to consume too much damage in the process, just in case he gets off to a bad start. But good tri-volt coming up from MAXTER there. It's still lurking around for now, as k1LLSEN has even stacked a little bit more. Mega's up in 2, but he's coming on in, coming with the LG and the pineapples as well, but he just picked up the Mega at the time. 84 HP, my goodness, and MAXTER scurries away as the heavy has been collected by MAXTER this time around, and my goodness, just again another occasion where it could have been all said and done.
A victory for MAXTER at the moment is that he is in control of the vast majority of the armor. That one light that k1LLSEN just collected is the only one that he's actually had access to. But that rocket is fantastic, and a really good start here. MAXTER is going to get the health first. Look for the two-piece, the rocket into the grenade. Only a grenade connected, I believe. However, that does mean that k1LLSEN is going to safely collect this heavy, and we trade control. I'm going to now have access to health. You have the armor. But with all that armor and an inject in not long at all, this is a pretty good situation for k1LLSEN. Neither player has wanted to push too hard. They're so wary of those choke points, those defensive angles where one rocket can change the scope of the entire match. And entering a 5-minute overtime between these two players.
Oh, corrupted keep of all maps as well.
Yeah.
It's just unreal here. It catches him a little bit with that tickle of damage. k1LLSEN just make his rotation once again to collect some ammo for the next engagement here, but he's going to find him and finds him with one but he's taking so much damage from that last rocket here, and you can see MAXTER just can't keep up with the pace and speed he's at, so k1LLSEN again is going to be able to get away, but look, just standing there daring for k1LLSEN to say, look, I'm right here, just come and attack me, but try and contest this Mega as you wish, but not going to happen. And look how segregated the timings are of the items. He's just pushing in for the LG now. And the Heavy's going to have any second trying to stop him before he goes in, but look at that, so k1LLSEN stays alive on 23 HP. My God, what a way to kick this series off, Ryan.
It was a scary advance. At that point, MAXTER had hard dedicated to that. But with an LG in hand and the fact that MAXTER, he's jumping around that corner, even if you are airborne for a split second, that LG is in complete control of where you're going to go. And just not being able to seal it there. k1LLSEN with the composure sticking around. He had no choice but to fight in that situation. So he had the right weapon for the job, the right amount of accuracy to get the job done. Definitely felt like that was MAXTER's situation to win. It's just k1LLSEN was just so clutch in that the final fight, definitely not in his favor. he was able to come out on top. And just to remind, that was a 5-minute overtime flat. No time to reflect on it because we're going straight into our second map, and we can't sit here and think. These players, they've got to be ready.
They've got to be indeed, but my goodness, there could have been like 4 or 5 final fights during those 5 minutes. That's definitely one of the longest sudden deaths we've ever had on Cup to Keep, and that's for a fact as well. And I think at one point, k1LLSEN had 46% LG, which was ridiculous, but he made such good use of those pineapples as well on so many different occasions for the defensive purposes. But yeah, it felt like a lifetime. God knows how it felt like for them on stage, my word. But going on to Ruins next, it will be the Galena versus the Visor, but just to keep up what's going on, 46% LG, already mentioned, 2,400 plus damage on top of that. Absolutely unreal. And you can see for the item control, very, very similar, 30 to the 28 in favor of MAXTER.
Can't say I'm surprised by that one. And both of our players now, I believe, we're in the process of readying up, and we'll be in as soon as we can. It's going to go 2 very different kind of maps, though. We start off on Corrupted Keep, and if I'm not mistaken, we're going into Ruins of Sarnath next. And this was the map that allowed MAXTER to pull off that really clutch final frag against Toxic earlier today. He looked really, really strong on that map. One of the things to really pull away from was Tox was in control. Tox had access to most of the items. MAXTER was content to play kind of slow, to play pretty reserved. And that was a matchup as well where I believe he was going up against a Visor. So you're dealing with someone that had all this vision, had all this control, and he just slow played it. Enough to bring us into an overtime, to get one clutch moment. My point is that MAXTER could play many different styles on this map. I feel like a huge part of that could be depending on how k1LLSEN approaches, because these are 2 champions. They're not going to be fast. It's Galena and it's Visor. It is utility above everything else.
We see some absolutely crazy comes back from k1LLSEN in the past on Ruins. And as you mentioned before, they haven't got the mobility with his champions either. It's very old-fashioned with his Visor versus Galena matchup. Not something we normally see too often nowadays, but we'll find out exactly how things are going to occur. Of course, keeping tabs on those totems on the side of MAXTER here, just to, it should be illegal for players like MAXTER even to have piercing sight at this point. With how good his rail is and how aggressive he can be with it, it's going to be interesting in itself. But I've always been very impressed with MAXTER's timings of the items as well. It's always been one of his weaknesses here and there in terms of the minor priority of things, but it seems to have got a lot better now compared to last year. So go straight into the game now. We're going to kick things off from k1LLSEN's perspective. Already about coming in between the 2 here. Machine gun coming out there from MAXTER, and k1LLSEN's already got the LG and rail in hand.
Totem was set up nice and early. If we can get more of those on deck, that's going to be huge for Galena. And a map like Ruins is just so good for it, because at the end of the day, she's able to stack up, have that Mega in the back pocket, and can, in many ways, prioritize that heavy. I do wonder if that's going to be k1LLSEN's idea. We're going to bring up a little bit more of those totems. The heavy is going to be back up, stocked in on the side of Galena. But again, I really cannot state enough MAXTER's performance on this map earlier today, and how versatile he had to be to get the win. He was not in control for most of it. He had less items. He was overall being ran around the map by Tox, and still somehow managed to pull off that victory. If he can do the same thing against k1LLSEN, that is an unbelievable way to tie things up 1 apiece.
Love how k1LLSEN just knew that MAXTER was baiting that heavy jump pad.
Death is the only release. I will not.
He's going to place that totem there, because he engages, but he's going to be backing away once more. Mega's up in the next second as MAXTER just trying to do his best to contest that.
Well, k1LLSEN's doing what k1LLSEN does best. k1LLSEN's going to sit in the center of the map. He's going to essentially, stick his ear to the ground, and he's going to gather information. Information that he's going to need as fighting against someone with a piercing sight. They're always going to have more information than you at the touch of a button, so anything you can do to contest is certainly going to help you. 7 seconds now until Mega. From this point, k1LLSEN, again, holding on to this center point of the map. And again, MAXTER, like earlier today, showing us that he's kind of content with that.
Yeah, of course, covering that T-junction on Mega is always going to be the top priority here. k1LLSEN's going to see if he can catch him, go for this heavy. He would be able to. MAXTER was so aware and prepared for that, but gets a sprinkle of damage there from that heavy jump pad. But this guy's going to try and drive down once again. What a great rocket as well as he was picking up the heavy, but in terms of HP, MAXTER's so weak. That's hit him once more. As k1LLSEN's going to back off and realizes how weak MAXTER is. It means he could have a free Mega in his hands and then go straight for the heavy afterwards.
Doesn't want to push too hard towards that first frag because the first goal here is going to be establish control and the map. As you can see there in that cycle, k1LLSEN just took both of those lights. So if he can secure a frag now, which he will do with that first rail, MAXTER has spawned, no light in sight. If MAXTER goes on the other side, it won't be there either because k1LLSEN has the time. If he has even an inkling that MAXTER is going to be at one of those places, he'll know the time of it spawning and he'll have a much more info to work with.
Certainly will do indeed as we're approaching that 3rd minute mark. Max's trying to stay alive, but doing a lot of damage with the LG, but
wow,
k1LLSEN's just equally, if not better at the time, and gonna try and catch him on spawn, going for that light, hits the first one, and you can see slowly but surely k1LLSEN just getting into the swing of things here. Putting that totem down and tries to catch Max if he could, but sadly wasn't able to with that first initial rail and just spam those rockets away just so it can at least secure this Mega, which he has done. Now k1LLSEN just to stand his ground for now. Of course, with his stack, it's going to be a bit of a difficult task to contest any of these items, but he's going to see if he can catch him as he was dropping down, but wasn't able to, sadly. But does back away once more, which means it should be a heavy pickup now for k1LLSEN, but he's trying to get a cheeky rail in the process, which is understandable. He'll try and get as much as he can, and getting a little bit closer to that overstack now.
You can say that again. I think it's no mystery that k1LLSEN definitely seems to prefer one of the two major items here. However, that rocket, I would say is a big deal, but was swiftly returned by 100 from k1LLSEN. And with those totems in play, it's going to be much easier for k1LLSEN to recover from those close encounters than it will be for MAXTER. MAXTER's got the lights and the 2 small armors. That's all he's going to get, while k1LLSEN controls this heavy. And even now, k1LLSEN can put himself in position for this next major item. MAXTER relegated to the smaller parts of the map, and that is exactly where k1LLSEN wants to keep you. Looking for a rail.
Well, let's be honest, it's not like k1LLSEN needs to make it at this point, but he might as well treat himself at this stage, hitting that first rail. Should be able to clean him up nicely here, making that 3-0. And with these 2 medium champions and the lack of mobility on both sides, it's going to make even more of a tougher task here for MAXTER, but again, just caught a little bit with that LG, go for the heavy once again. The totems still haven't been found. It's not like they're in the most hidden place possible. Just having a little connection here, and that's going to be a clean up, hopefully, from k1LLSEN, and it will be. 5 minutes in already, 4-0, as things start to escalate a little bit further now as we head into the second half of this map.
If MAXTER survived that fight, I mean, it would have been beyond the realm of impossible.
To him.
Yeah, absolutely. Because now we're looking for some rails there, though. k1LLSEN has to be pretty careful, though, because one more of those rails, MAXTER, so close to looking for it. There was like a split second of an angle, and that was all. But now our next item, the Mega in play. k1LLSEN setting up once more. As much stack as possible, pick it up, reduce the cooldown. Only 30 seconds left now until we can start to build once more. MAXTER, this is the problem he's been having, though, because when these range fights have happened, you know, you're out of control, your opponent's got more stack. What do you do on Ruins? You play a ranged game, you look for the rails, you look for the opportunity to chip away at the stack they have. The problem is, k1LLSEN's getting hit by a rail, he's just hitting one back. There's no opening for MAXTER. There's no opportunity to actually get something from the situation.
Good rocket.
Apart from that rocket, which is really good. And he's using that to go in, looking for it. Misses the rail! That was everything he needed! We're just talking about not having these opportunities. There was one, but couldn't finish it.
That was so important. But does manage to hit one, trying to get one more if he can, but again, k1LLSEN able to get away and gets the heavy on top of that, and he can just double back as he sees fit if he wants to, of course, replenish his health and from those totems, but he decided to go back around and get into a really good position here for this Mega, just covering that T-junction once more. As he caught him quite badly from that last rocket, and yes, it's going from bad to worse. There's been a couple of crucial moments here for MAXTER where he could have got that first frag, but now k1LLSEN's starting to limit his mistakes more and more as time has been progressing. He hasn't really got much time left either. Now MAXTER's still trying to create that recovery process still right, and look at the stack k1LLSEN has now. It's just kind of feel like it's a matter of time at this point.
MAXTER has been, from the beginning of this map, rather content to allow k1LLSEN to be the one in charge. And like I said, it's reminiscent of a result earlier today. Piercing Sight has just been popped. We heard it But how much that's going to help MAXTER here, I do not know. And it looks like we're just going to turn this into another frag. Oh, God, no. Watch your feet. Oh, it was right there. And really, there, damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think if he stayed there, the rocket was going to get him. If not, it was going to be that totem. Another frag off spawn, looking to make that a second frag off spawn. And with how things have currently gone, I think it's hard to see any other result. k1LLSEN should, by all means, be taking this 2-0.
Yeah, 100%. It's pretty much impossible now at this point, and maybe with a slash or something, maybe a 10% probability, but even that, though, there's absolutely no way he could come back from this. A very, very clean map coming out from k1LLSEN. And, well, of course, he's a defending champion for a reason, isn't he, here? Coming up to LG bout. MAXTER finally gets his first frag, but as I mentioned before, it's probably way too little too late. And k1LLSEN just performed that really well with the totems and just not really spreading the totems out at all, just keep on that heavy jump pad, but also securing the area at the same time in that proximity to make sure that it doesn't push into that direction. And so far, with a minute and a half left remaining, it's a little bit unfortunate because I would love to have seen a third map between these guys, considering what we saw from that first map. It was an absolute doozy and it could have gone either way, but it was a good series nonetheless.
It is a shame. You never know how different things could have been, in theory, from that first map. You know, a fight that MAXTER, by all accounts, kind of had in the bag, really. It just came down to k1LLSEN having that real clutch factor. Just all the moving parts of the weapon choice, the damage, all that. Most other scenarios, I feel like that could have resulted in a map 1 for MAXTER, and this would have been the equalizer. Would be going on to that third map. Molten, if I recall. Who knows how different things could have been, but that shoulda, woulda, coulda. What we do know for a fact is that k1LLSEN is going to be moving on in this bracket 2-0, sending MAXTER to the lower bracket. MAXTER will still be in this tournament, but it's going to be a last chance territory, and that is kind of scary.
Yeah, Max is one of the last people you want to face against in the lower bracket this early on as well.
Nope.
And k1LLSEN has been performing so well for the entirety of this map, and it's just been very clean and concise. You kind of felt like he was never out of control in any way, shape or form. Always having the advantage in terms of position for these items, especially for this Mega, having his T-junction covered every single time. But even then now, trying to make this 10-1 if he can, his way for MAXTER to try and play peekaboo, but it looks like it's not going to happen here. We've got 15 seconds left remaining. With k1LLSEN now waited just to solidify this series, but still a very scary opponent to come up against here. k1LLSEN will take this series 2-0, and it will be moving on into the next round here. Great stuff, an incredible first map. The second map didn't go to Max's way at all in the slightest, but a nice way to close out for k1LLSEN.
You can see the relief in k1LLSEN's
Can you
face.
blame him?
I mean, look, that was a hard match, especially that first map. The second map just demanded that, gotta say, rather masterclass of Galena. Just the way the totems were placed, his general control, his choice of item, you know, what he would rather have in a situation where they could take one or the other, was always picking the right thing. He always had the right angles. Even down to about, I think it was about 5 or 6 minutes, there was that moment where k1LLSEN just soaked up both of the lights. And I'm sitting there thinking, what is even left for MAXTER to start a comeback with? There's nothing. And that's just masterclass at Quake, if you ask me.
Yeah, there is so much great about that series. I mean, one thing that I think is certain is that k1LLSEN champ, he can bleed, right? Like, I mean, that game 1 was pretty unbelievable. I think there was maybe that last engagement before the sudden death. I kind of feel like MAXTER could have probably just said, you know what, I got hit with that rocket, I'm just going to back up, I'm going to try to hold on to this lead. The fact that it went almost 5 minutes into overtime was pretty nuts. I mean, I think I was grasping the side of my chair during that too. I can only imagine how those two players felt like up on stage. You said masterclass of Galena on this map. It absolutely was, right? There was a totem party by that jump pad and MAXTER was not invited. And every single time that it seemed like k1LLSEN was going to have something or be able to put play together, there was a place that k1LLSEN was able to immediately go back to and recover from. So such a phenomenal second game, k1LLSEN's display. I'll tell you what, I would not want to be facing MAXTER in the lower bracket. I think that a beast has just been dropped down to there, and he looked really impressive there in that map 1. Would have loved to seen Keel get the victory there, but k1LLSEN played that one phenomenally, and we just well played all around.
We gathered a lot of information from that series.
Yeah.
You know, we know that k1LLSEN may not be completely untouchable if it's anything to go by that first map, as MAXTER pushed him to the limit. But let's not forget the talent of MAXTER. Now, that was still a great performance from him. Finishing up on that second map, k1LLSEN is a champion for a reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, let's just not forget k1LLSEN on LAN. We talk about players on LAN. k1LLSEN in this setting is like natural habitat.
Yeah.
And he has seen some of the absolute highest success of any Quake Champions player in this exact setting. If most of his maps go like that Galena one, I don't know who could beat him.
Yeah.
In that form, you've got to be the cream of the crop to stand a chance.
It was just perfect play. If there is such a thing, I think we just saw it there from k1LLSEN. So another round of 8 match wraps up here, and coming up next, it's going to be Maestro versus Maestro, as Zanaku is going to be taking on Razy. That's coming up next, live from QuakeCon 2023. Don't go away. We'll be right back.